Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, I'll be speaking on the power of intuition. And here's my question for you. Would you be interested in learning how to harness the power of intuition if it could make your life more peaceful and enjoyable? The foundation is understanding that the subconscious mind is capable of processing much more information more quickly than the conscious mind can. See, the conscious mind can process 1/10 of the information that the subconscious mind can handle. And see, we have tools at our disposal, whether we're speaking of internal tools like breath work, meditation, using the subconscious, or external tools like having practical systems for your acts, having habits that keep you feeling good. That's both external and internal. But the point is that we need to use the tools that we have at our disposal. And intuition is one of those powerful, game-changing tools that will allow you to absolutely improve the hell out of your life if you understand how to use it optimally. To use intuition properly, we have to understand that there is this web of life, that how one thing occurs or how you do one thing affects another. And taking a bigger picture approach to the everyday experiences and moments that you have. So it's understanding, well, first, you have to train your intuition. You lose what you don't use. So this is not some magic pill. It's not a hack. It's something that you have to diligently and intentionally train. How do you train your intuition? Well, what prevents many from accessing their intuition is having a foggy, distracted mind. So, to access your intuition, you have to have healthy nutrition because that affects the clarity of your mind. And you need to have time where you are just in solitude. If you're always with people and others, you can still have access to the intuition, but when you reflect in solitude, for example, you sit down and you start writing, asking questions along the lines of, well, what am I doing well? And what isn't working right now? Where are some of my potential biases, etc. You sit down and you reflect, asking yourself questions, you're going to learn more about who you are. And your intuitive side is so tightly connected with who you are on a being level. See, there's levels of association when it comes to your self-identity. And many live on the two levels of identifying their self-worth through what they have and what they do. But the deeper thinkers, the people who are really digging for internal peace, not external validation, but understanding how to comprehend and regulate their inner states, these people operate from a place of being. And that is very much aligned with intuition. If you are living each day looking to focus your attention on the moments, to be present, to fully appreciate what life is. See, the trap that the prison of your mind can become is that all your attention, for the most part, is placed on the past or the future and never actually focusing on what is in front of you. What are you feeling through your five bodily senses at this moment? That's one of the great tips that has helped me deeply when it comes to, okay, noticing that I was getting anxious, creating a negative delusion of the future. That's how I would define anxiety. And then you put your attention back on your bodily senses, and that can help you get back into the present moment, the flow, the intuitive nature of your being. Anytime that I speak about intuition, self-deception has to be brought into the fold, because you can very much trick yourself. There are two main states that I feel we operate in. One would be that ego state, which is very focused on status and fame and success, external validation, the pleasing of other egos, and very materialistic terms. It's like me versus you thinking, black and white thinking, this way is the only way. And the other state that you can come from is understanding from a deeper nature, like intuitive thinking. Well, this person is at their current stage, and that's okay. It is less judging, it's no blaming, more so accepting, okay, things are as it is, and where are the lessons that I can take from the reality? See, the ego very much is driven to change reality. And this can be both helpful and destructive. So what I get at when I say that is, okay, let's say you're looking to become better. You have an idea that your potential is limitless, that the only ceilings you have are the self-imposed limitations of the mind. That type of change, that is a positive change. You are expanding your consciousness, you're becoming more aware, and therefore you're going to be able to live a peaceful and enjoyable life. You're moving in a direction which will bring you inner peace. While on the other hand, the ego can get very wrapped up in its wants and desires, attachments, beliefs, ideologies, etc. The ego can get very wound up in a disappointing state because it is not focused on appreciating right now. Rather, it is placing its attention on everything that is not happening right now. And that is the truth of how we create a large amount of our own pain, is by allowing the ego to live in either the past or the future, rather than having that flow, that intuitive nature where you are just in the moment and operating from a peaceful state. When you think of intuition, it is helpful to zoom out, to focus on using intuition in the generation of a bigger picture vision. For example, I had this sense, a deep feeling as an 18-year-old, somewhere around that age, that I had no interest working at a corporation, to be honest. And my mind was quite closed. See, now I could understand, hey, maybe if it's the right place with the right characters, I could see myself doing it down the road. Maybe not be like stuck in the corporation, but have like a flowing activity. What I'm expressing is, we have deep feelings from a young age of things that we're not drawn to and things that we are drawn to. And this is the deeper intuition. But it takes an awareness to listen to that, because we go through stages of ego development. And when we're younger, there's a stage called the conformist stage. This is where we want to fit in. And we actually are moving away from intuition when we are in the conformist stage, because intuition does not care about fitting in. Intuition cares about our deepest being, allowing it to express itself. And conforming is quite the opposite. We are more so looking to fit in and be like others. So this is a stage, and I think every stage is necessary. We have to go through these stages to get to the next, deeper, more educated stages. So it's not that any stage is better than another, because we have this understanding that you need to pass through each stage to go to the next one. And that is just the necessary truth of ego development. And it's interesting because we have to consciously train our awareness. If we do not focus on becoming more aware through our habits, then the intuition becomes clouded out, because eventually, if you do not train your awareness, you will become programmed. Society, culture will program you into following what it preaches to be correct. For example, on all the commercials, alcohol is advertised consistently. Things like porn no longer are bad. Like you see OnlyFans and just everything of that nature running rampant. The shorts, the TikToks of just low quality sleaziness. I guess that's the best way to phrase it. And see, I'm not here to like judge those people. I think, oh, do whatever you please, to be honest. It would just be foolish of me to let my ego get annoyed or create more suffering just because people aren't following what could help them. What I'm expressing is alcohol and porn, they're both very destructive. Society preaches that they're okay, that they're acceptable. And that is pulling more and more people away from their potential, pulling these beautiful characters away from who they could become, and turning them into the programmed masses, what most people are like. Work in a corporation, retire when you're 65, and never find internal peace. just live each day seeking external validation, not knowing how to manage your stress, regulate your mind, and pretty much living in this cycle of overthinking, overstressing, not taking care of your body, not stretching enough, not feeling good enough. And this comes from society preaching things that are not healthy. There's many deeper connections as well. What I mean is society and culture is one piece of the puzzle, which helps to create this feedback loop of mediocrity and low quality living. But on the other hand, a intuitive being is quite the opposite. These people very much are passionate about figuring out, like, how good, how amazing can you create yourself? How clear, how aware can your mind become? And how fast, strong, sustainable? How much conditioning can your body take? Because gee, if you fuel yourself right and you consume amazing education, your body goes with that. It's so tightly correlated. But what in a practical sense this comes down to is how we invest our moments, how intentional we are with our daily actions, our habits. And see, if you understand this concept that how you do one thing is how you do everything, and that making incremental changes over a long extended period of time while reflecting is going to lead you to inevitable growth. And see, I can say that, but I can also say life is not just about growth. Sometimes you are aiming at that, but it's not time. You haven't really comprehended enough to actually get the results. And this is where it ties back into having a vision, because if you are not seeing results, for example, I did this self-development stuff for multiple years and I kind of teetered back and forth. Like things felt good some days and other days miserable. And I didn't know what I didn't know. So it was pretty tough to persevere. But eventually results come. And the only way you're going to get to the point that results appear is if you have a vision and a reason that is so deep and powerful that you have no other option but to continue to learn, grow, reflect, and look up, to aim high. Because without the vision and the mission, you inevitably will quit. So you see, this is all connected. It goes from like intuitive thinking to having a vision to breaking down your vision into daily habits and figuring out how to make the execution of your daily habits as easy and stress-free as possible. And it can even go deeper and deeper, but that's just like a little foundation for you right there. Going to hear me rant about balance very often because, see, what I want to share here is intuition alone is bullshit, and practical materialism alone is bullshit. But when you combine the two, you get something actually not bullshit. And so what does this look like in a practical sense? Let's say that, okay, personal example, I want to write for 45 minutes and I do that. Then after writing, I don't want to just go back into another 45-minute session of education or something very practical. What is healthy is to take a 5-10 minute break, something of that nature, to do a breathwork practice, a visualization practice, meditation, some yoga, stretching, something more intuitive. And a good simile, if you're not sure exactly what intuition means, it's aligned with a deeper sense of feeling. So the practical materialism things that I express are thinking, thinking, thinking. And then the intuitive things are feeling, a deeper feeling. So that's the simplest way I could express it to you. The conscious mind loves to think, and the intuitive mind loves to feel, okay? And to deeply sense. I like that. And so let's say that you have a business situation that needs solving. There is something that is confusing you or stumping you. Rather than thinking, like, okay, what could I change here? Do I need to delete that? Do I need to add this? Those can be helpful questions, but this becomes even better when you combine those questions with a subconscious practice. Like, okay, I'm going to go sit crisscross and visualize how I'm going to feel once I have solved this uncomfortable business situation. So you are sitting and you are putting yourself in a place of, okay, I'm imagining exactly how I'll feel when this outcome turns out the way I would desire it to feel. So, see, this is interesting because the ego will become attached to feelings. Rather, the intuitive mind will imagine the feelings that it would like to receive. So there's a difference. The ego mind wants, and it gets upset if it doesn't feel or receive what it's looking for, while the intuitive mind is being natural in the creation of how it would like to feel. It's not forcing feelings, but we are doing a practice which we are simply like brainstorming and imagining the inner peace, the inner satisfaction that comes from the accomplishment of the situation. And here's something that I would challenge you. Pay more attention to your language, because you notice I keep using the word situation. I use that word in exchange for the word problem because to me, the language that problem is, it has a connotation. It alludes to something more so negative. Rather, if I just say a situation, it leaves the door open to a positive solution. And see, that's a trick that's super important. If you will pay more attention to the details, and in this context, the language you use, but just the details in general, like you can tell a lot about a person just by paying attention to the details of, like, do they leave crumbs everywhere? That's just one example. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means they're not as orderly as you. They're not as aware as you are if they're leaving crumbs everywhere, or if they're not cleaning up after themselves. And here's where the mature mind has to come in and say, that doesn't make you better than them. It doesn't mean that you're above them just because you're more aware or at a different stage of development. See, and that's where the ego comes in. It's like the ego wants to put you on a pedestal or to play these games like me versus you. I'm winning, you're losing. But that's just not the case. That is not healthy in the bigger picture. What prevents you from accessing your intuition there's a lot of things, but two big ones that come to me are fear and distraction. So, fear and distraction, they both are very egotistical states of consciousness. And if you are not living in a abundant growth frame, you're going to ultimately have these moments of scarcity, and you're going to come from a place of lack. And when you lack, nothing is going to feel right because you attract more of what you put out. And if you are scared and distracted, then you're stuck. You're sort of trapped in a place where you're not allowed to flow. And so let's kind of detail, why exactly does fear inhibit intuition? Well, if you're flowing, what are you doing? You're not scared. You are totally just present. And fear is quite the opposite of that, because when you're fearful, you're thinking of either the past or the future. Maybe you're scared in the present moment, but I don't think that's the majority of where fear lies. See, like for me, there's only been a few times I've been scared in the moment. Like if I see a bear or if I'm close to a car crash. Like those are moments of fear. That's okay. What is not okay is delusions of the future. See, this is what anxiety is. And anxiety is riddled with fear, because what you do is you overthink and you create a negative delusion of the future. And 85% of your fears never come true, which is like, holy shit. That means like 1/10 of the time when I am overthinking, it actually occurs. But most people don't know that statistic. They're not aware enough, and therefore they just create these negative futures within their mind, and then they worry and stress unnecessarily when they don't have to. And when you're doing that, you're so far from flowing, it's not even in the picture. So that's the damage from fear. And then when we speak of distraction, see, you can't fix something that you don't know could be better. So that's what distraction does to us. We just forget that there are many, many things that we could be fine fine detailing and sharpening. But when we're distracted, we are usually placing our attention on not the most important task. So distraction, it leads to a misprioritization of your highest leverage acts. And you're going to be probably, if you're distracted, doing things that are not the best for you. And here's where balance comes in. See, when you're working on your business, you're educating your mind, or you're building relationships with people, I think that we don't want to stray to too far of a extreme. If you go all in on business, and even if you're using your intuition in the generation of your business, we still have to understand, well, we got to take care of the physical body. A business is not the only thing that we need. We also need connections with people. We need sunlight. We need to play and stretch and take care of both our mind and our body. So it's like that intuitive understanding of, well, when am I out of balance? When am I getting disconnected? And see, this comes back into fear and distraction, because when you're fearful, you have no fucking idea that you're disconnected. You're just focused on fear. And when you're distracted, fear, it can be a form of distraction. So you're distracted, you are not focused on being balanced. Well, balance is out of the picture. You're focused on some other shit that truly is not serving you. You're focused on something that is generating poor feelings that you do not desire, but you might just be so unaware that you don't realize you are creating your own internal pain. And when I say this, everything that I say is a reminder for myself. I'm not speaking from this point of Justin's on a pedestal and he doesn't feel any of this. No, I'm sharing this because this is my direct experience, and understanding, looking to comprehend my direct experience has helped me enhance the amount of peace that I feel on a moment-to-moment basis, which overall has changed how I live, how I feel, and my entire life has gotten smoother and more enjoyable by identifying what I'm what I'm looking to express here. It all starts with just identifying, like, what am I doing wrong, and what could I do better? So that's what I'm sharing here. And quick plug, if you are deeply interested in leveling up and learning from someone, see, when you learn from the free information online, it's amazing. Like, you level up that way. But when you learn from someone who has created a system and documented, well, here's how you go from step 1 to step 2 and so on, you learn so much quicker. So what I have for you is, if you check out the description, there's a form you could fill out. And if you fill that out, we'll potentially see if we're a good fit to work together and make your life 10 times better, to remove the unnecessary suffering and to add in the peace and the feelings that you would like to operate from on a daily basis. If that sounds good to you, link in description. So this understanding of life is trade-offs, it's been helpful. And what does that mean? It means that if you go to the bar often, you're not going to be in the best physical shape that you could be, because alcohol is not good for your liver, it's not good for your mind, and it slows you down. It is just unnecessary calories that do not have nutrients, and it is a trade-off. See, if you choose to drink alcohol, that's a choice. And most people don't understand the choice they're making. But if you are not distracted, you are aware, you'll understand, okay, I'm choosing to drink. That means I am sacrificing my health, my longevity, the quality of my mind, and how I'm going to feel tonight, tomorrow, and how I'm going to sleep. So that's a choice you make, and everyone has their own ability to make their decisions. Like, I have no interest in telling you what to do, not at all. That's just not fun for me. I don't think that's cool. But why I bring that up is, so how do you get to the NFL? You want to be a football player, you train every day, and you don't just train for 1 hour a day, but you do that for most of your day. Like, if you make it to the professional leagues in any sport, it is pretty much your life. It is pretty much what you're doing for the majority of your waking hours. Of course, there's downtime, but the point is that life is trade-offs. And if you want to become a professional athlete, you're going to have to sacrifice many things, many things. And of course, you can still have balance. You could still have fun in that life. But the point is that we have to get super clear on our priorities, understanding that when we choose to do one thing, we are saying no or yes to another thing. That is happening all the time. And this education, you watching this video right now, learning about intuition, that is a choice. See, by doing this, you are going to be able to reduce the amount of pain and suffering that you feel in your life. And I think that's a good choice. I feel like who doesn't want less pain and less suffering? I feel like it's a no-brainer, but at the same time, many people will not do this work. They will not take the time to educate themselves about both here's a list of areas that when you educate yourself, you're benefiting yourself. Financial literacy, social understanding, hands-on skills, cognitive skills, physical health, etc. So those are some basics, but what it comes down to is, if we are not learning, we are not being intentional with our time, well, someone else is, and they will, I don't want to say that they will achieve or get something that you won't get, but their life's quality will be different from yours. That's a good way to say it. And the choice is yours. If you want a better life, you can work at it. But if you are okay with your complacent, quiet, miserable existence of survival, then you can do that too. See, there's a big difference between thriving and living and existing and surviving. Big, big difference. Okay, so real practical shit for you. And listen, nobody can help you if you don't help yourself. So here's some practical steps for you to help yourself. And let me know if these help you. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Clean up your nutrition. Simplest way for me to express this is, you want to be in a calorie deficit. You want to consume your body weight in grams of protein from animals that were grass finished. And you don't need to always be consuming the animal itself. You can consume the creation of the animal, aka grass or pasture raised eggs. You do not want to support factory farming. That is miserable, that is disturbing, that is immoral. When we have all these chickens stuck in a cage where they have no room to live, no room to experience nature, that's horrible. We don't want to support that. So what you want to do is be very specific in where you get your eggs from. Maybe support some local people. Ask them what they feed their chickens, because chickens cannot survive solely off of grass. But if they have a huge pasture and they have bugs along with the grass, a chicken can live and survive off of that combination. But a lot of chickens are fed grains, and that's not the end of the world. Let's say we're talking details here. If you're consuming eggs from a grain-fed local chicken, much better than a grain-fed factory slave chicken. So it's not about being perfect. It's about being better. But if you're really looking to consume the best eggs, you want these grass pasture free chickens. These chickens that had a life where they're able to roam. Okay, so that's how you clean up your nutrition. You consume the healthiest animal protein you can. And of course, grass-finished beef is okay too. I just know that there needs to be a balance. And then you can mix in other things, fruits, vegetables that are free of glyphosate, which is Roundup. That's a cancer-causing pesticide and chemical. You do not want that in your system. It will clog your pineal gland, and your pineal gland is very connected with your intuitive nature. So you see, this is all quite connected. I try to adopt a holistic view, understanding that everything is like a spider's web. The strands are connected. And so we clean up our nutrition, and to do that, we do not buy junk food. It just doesn't even come in the house, because it's not about being a willpower motherfucker. It's about reducing temptation to sabotage yourself. That's what I found works best for me. I don't want to rely on willpower. I want to rely on systems, strategies, tactics, and tricks. That's how I roll. Much easier. I like easy. It's funny. See, people would look at me and be like, Justin, you wake up at 3 a.m. What do you mean you like easy? But here's how I roll. I realize that a healthy life, a fulfilled and meaningful life, is much easier than a miserable, lazy existence. So what's easy to me has taken a long time to turn easy. But now I realize, oh wow, taking care of myself is much easier than feeling like trash. Interesting, paradoxical, I know. So if you have any more nutrition questions, I'm deep on that topic. I don't want to rant too much on it. Let me see, is there anything else though? Don't buy processed food, reduce temptation. You don't want to eat before bed. That's a hard one. It's not easy, but the best way I could advise you to get through that is to eat the proper calories and nutrition before the bedtime. Because if you're starving at bed, yeah, you increase the likelihood. Okay, we'll go on to the next one. So build your exercise routine. This is going to be different for everyone. And how it starts is not how it always unfolds. So it's a learning process. And when you're building your exercise routine, something that I would advise is to make it as frictionless as possible. For me, I go early AM in the mornings, because if I don't do it then, I won't do it the rest of my day. So what did I do to make that possible? I changed my bedtime. I changed my waking up time to allow for that morning gym workout. So sometimes you have to take a small habit and kind of zoom out and figure out, like, how am I actually going to make this work? And along with building your exercise routine, you want to figure out, like, what time of the day that you are operating at your max capacity. See, I'm a morning person, so I like to wake up early, start the day early, hitting the gym, doing some work before the gym, and then doing more work after the gym. And then I don't even eat food until halfway through the day, because I know when I have food in my system, I am not operating as clearly as I potentially could be. So it's like, again, this holistic understanding of how one thing affects another. And when you build your exercise routine, it very much for me is about how I start the day. Like doing that workout immediately early in the morning, it freaking gives me so much energy for the rest of my day. And see, this is how momentum works. Compounding works both for you and against you. And if we can figure out, like, how do I optimize my energy? How do I take advantage of when I have the most clarity and then use that clarity efficiently? You are like hitting on all cylinders. You're not like a fucking 4-cylinder car, but a 12-cylinder supercar at that point. So that is really important to understand, like, how this exercise routine carries over into the rest of your day. And what the foundation comes down to is being flexible and understanding that what works for me might not work for you. And the thesis is to make the gym or your training enjoyable. How do you do that? You do that by eating clean so that you feel good during your workouts and getting the right sleep so that you feel good during your workouts and drinking the right things, water, not alcohol, and fluoride-free water, not fucking fluoride-filled water that's going to clog up your system and prevent you from doing and operating at your max capacity. So again, it really comes down to this holistic approach, how one thing affects another thing. And then just some small habits. You can journal this is the start. Begin with 1 minute daily. The purpose of journaling is clarity, reflection. You get your thoughts out of your head, everything becomes clearer. They go from squiggly, unorganized to on a line, readable, comprehensible. So journaling 1 minute daily, start there. Same thing with meditation, start with 1 minute daily. You implement these habits. I promise you, your mind gets more clear, you get more peaceful, your life becomes better. Then you have to educate. So I would say study for 1 hour or more a day about whatever the hell interests you. For me, started with the stock market, transitioned into psychology because the stock market is a game of psychology. Then that transitioned into very practical things like understanding emotions and biology and physiology and yeah. And then eventually now I'm in this more spiritual psychedelic period where I'm really investigating what is consciousness and who are we. But the point is, you study and things unravel. You're going to find new natural curiosities as long as you don't give up. And yeah. Hope that this was valuable and that you learned a fair bit about intuition. There will be more episodes on this topic in the future because it's very deep and it takes time to unravel this. And as I progress in my intuitive understanding, I'll have more to share. But so my purpose for doing this, there's many reasons. But one of the reasons is to help you guys to share what's changed my life, and ideally, you can change your life without having to go through the amount of pain that I had to go through. That's where this message is rooted, is in pain and suffering, and hoping that not everyone has to experience the degree of internal pain and suffering that I created myself through having a unorganized and uneducated mind. So if you want to support me, if you appreciate what I'm doing, just drop me a like on the video. That would be greatly appreciated. And very much I'd love to interact with you guys. So if you have any thoughts, any feedback, just let me know down below. I'd appreciate that. And lastly, I hope you have a like-minded friend because we need connection and community. And it's much better to have just a few cool, tight buddies rather than a bunch of just low quality acquaintances that are actually just like enemies masquerading as friends. Interesting. But point is, share this with your close friends. Share this with your real people who you want to help. And if they enjoy, that's awesome. And if they don't watch it, that's okay. See, something I realized is often our ego's attempts to relieve the suffering of other egos can end up creating more suffering for either ourselves or in the big picture. We get mad at them for not wanting to level up. See, I lived in that state of mind for a bit, and now I realize what wise people do is you plant seeds and you do not become attached to who gardens and waters the seeds that you plant. What you do is you plant seeds and you hope for the best. You hope for people to learn and take care of what you planted, but at the same time, you don't force the horse to drink the water. It's like, you can bring it to the river, but don't get upset. Don't try to force things. So wishing you a great day. Much love, much appreciation.